Got to share with you the story from this recent podcast on Founders, which I've been going to his back catalog of shows. It's hard to do. You feel like you're not getting the newest, coolest thing, but the reality is the older stuff that stands the test of time via the Lindy effect, like old books, old quotes, ideas, whatever, are more likely to stay around in the future because that's how damn good they are and how important they are, right? And so going back to old episodes in a show like this, amazing. Like I listened to David Ogilvy's his show on him, which was I think The Confessions, because he's done like 3 shows. So good, right? And I've kind of studied David over the years. I didn't really know much about him or how he worked, so that was pretty enlightening, and I appreciate that show. Now this one that he just came out with, Larry Gagosian, is apparently a billionaire art dealer today. Just absolute wow. But there's one anecdote in this podcast that I've already told to like 4 people because I just love it so much. And maybe this won't appeal to you as much. I'm the type of person where I'm drawn to people that are unique, that are the outliers. Maybe they don't play nice with others. Not to say that I like dickish people or anything, but I just found doing this entrepreneurship thing for so long and dealing with a lot of bullshit and naysayers and whatever along the way, it's like you end up just getting so over it that you can come off as dickish, but a lot of times it's just straightforwardness. And, like it's that quote by, the Irish dude, I forget his name. He wrote, I think, Ray Donovan. And he said, if you're going to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh, otherwise they'll kill you. I'm pretty sure that's the quote. It's like people don't want the truth. They just don't. So a lot of times, if you're that type of person, to deliver that and to get to the point and to offer straightforward feedback, which that's exactly who I am. And I also kind of sometimes say it, at times maybe in a condescending way, but not even necessarily condescending, but more just like I have really good points and I can clarify that point. And for people that they might be slower on the uptake to that, or they don't really know how to think on the other side because they're so gung-ho on this one idea. Like a lot of people have a hard time thinking about the cons of something, whereas they spend a lot of time on the pros. It's like they don't know how to respond in real time, so they get defensive, So without that preamble, this anecdote in this story about this guy is he was kind of up and coming in the art world, and he knew a lot of wealthy people. He made a point to know them even when they didn't know him. And so he would actually invite himself to these dinner parties that he'd hear about. He wasn't even invited to them. And I guess, people, he shows up and they let him in or whatever. And then he would excuse himself to the bathroom, take his Polaroid camera. And these are usually, from my understanding, they were in New York. So these are nice buildings with probably millionaires or billionaires. And so they have art on the wall. He'd go take pictures of the art on the wall. He'd then leave. A few days later, he'd call the person hosting the party and say, hey, will you take $7 million for that painting on the wall over there? Right? He would literally try to sell the art from their house without even asking or telling them, and simply present them with an offer after finding a ready buyer. It's actually pretty amazing. It's genius. It's like they don't even have to do anything. And if they don't want the offer, bam, gone. Say no. Like no harm, no foul. So it's just like when I hear stuff like that, just to have the gumption, the audacity, the confidence, and just the lack of giving a fuck. That's really the thing. And to go in and be like, I'm going to try to sell this shit, and I'm not going to ask for permission. And that's just awesome. I love it. I love it so much. So I highly recommend this show. I recommend a lot of his other episodes. It's just so good. And I mean, all he does is talk for an hour about a book that he read, usually a biography of a person, and then he took a bunch of notes and then he talks about it. And it's great. Like he's good at what he does. I would love to do this myself. I might even have to do my own version at some point because I love this idea so much. Maybe go a little bit more historical, but just give it a listen. It's just one of those things that I feel like I'm compelled to share, and then I'll get used to it and I won't feel the need to talk about it anymore. But now, since it's so fresh, since I'm really diving into this podcast, I think you should as well.